Welcome back to TVB News. The leader of the World Health Organization has sounded an alarm at the 69th World Health Assembly in Switzerland. Margaret Chan told the gathering of the world's top health experts that the rise of infectious diseases and a series of slow-moving man-made disasters are among the most urgent challenges facing the planet. James Aitken reports.
It was a dire warning from the head of the WHO. Margaret Chan told the World Health Assembly that profit-oriented policies have put lives in danger, creating slow-motion disasters like climate change, antibiotic resistance, and the rise of chronic non-communicable diseases.
Let me give you a stern warning. What we are seeing now looks more and more like a dramatic resurgence of the threat from emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. The world is not prepared to cope. High-level assessments of the Ebola response have consistently called for more resilient health systems as a first line of defense.
Chan urged decision-makers to build stronger healthcare systems, citing the global response to Ebola as a failure not to be repeated. And she said the world's latest public health emergency, the Zika virus, is a prime example of how changes in the way humanity inhabits the planet have created new opportunities for the volatile microbial world.
The rapidly evolving outbreak of Zika virus, warns us that an old disease that slumbered for 6 decades in Africa and Asia can suddenly wake up on a new continent to cause a global health emergency.
The WHO says there is strong scientific consensus that the mosquito-borne Zika virus can cause microcephaly, a disorder that results in severe brain abnormalities in newborns. Brazil has confirmed about 1,200 cases of microcephaly and considers most of them to be related to Zika infections. In the United States, where there are more than 500 travel-related cases of Zika, a lab has begun testing for the virus using new automated instruments to detect the smallest amount of Zika in blood samples. The U.S. Congress has been asked to allocate $1.9 billion in emergency funding to help fight the spread of the virus. James Aitken, TVB News.
Football's governing body, FIFA, has fired its finance director of the past 13 years, removing another person associated with former President Sepp Blatter. Marcus Katner's resignation follows new revelations about irregular million-dollar payments to the scandal-plagued organization. Katner's exit yesterday came after he spent several months as FIFA's interim top administrator, promoting its wish to change its tainted culture, even as his links to other investigations added up. FIFA said Katner was fired after an internal investigation said he allegedly broke his legal responsibilities to the organization in connection with his employment contract.
More local news now. The Financial Services Development Council says it wants to push Hong Kong into becoming a green finance hub. Members of the council say there is a misconception that financial projects which focus on the environment is low in financial return. They say green finance is in fact the trend of the future. Winnie Wong tells us more.
It can be hard to imagine a link between the environment and the glossy, fast-paced finance industry of Hong Kong. But that is exactly what the Financial Services Development Council wants to promote when it released today a report entitled Hong Kong as a Regional Green Finance Hub. The report makes a list of suggestions for the government. This includes the issuance of a benchmark green bond, which are meant to raise capital for environmentally friendly or sustainable projects. The council also recommended the establishment of a Green Finance Advisory Board. In addition, it suggested that the city host a global conference on green finance and investment and build a pipeline of green finance professionals through universities and other professional institutions. But what exactly is green finance? According to the council, it's a broad term that refers to capital raising and financial investments for projects, products, and companies that support the development of a more environmentally friendly economy. In fact, it's a big deal in mainland China. The council quoted the People's Bank of China in March 2015, which estimated the country will need to invest over $1.5 trillion in green projects during its 13th five-year plan period. The members insist green finance is the way forward.
I think what we sometimes face is a misconception that somehow there are lower financial returns in this investment universe. However, that is not correct. That is a misconception. And if you look towards the energy needs, the infrastructure needs, the water scarcity issues we're dealing with, air pollution and alike, the future is very, very clear. And this is clearly where we need to head.
The members today also warned that Hong Kong faces the risk of falling behind in financial development if green finance is neglected. Winna Wong, TVB News.
Researchers at Chinese University and the University of Hong Kong are revolutionizing heart surgery using 3D printing technology. Experts successfully used 3D silicon models of the heart to improve the effectiveness and safety of complex procedures. Rani Samtani tells us more.
Patients with the heart condition atrial fibrillation often have to undergo surgery to lower their chances of developing a stroke. This treatment is called left atrial appendage, or LAA occlusion. During the procedure, doctors implant a device to cover a hole in the heart to prevent the formation of blood clots. The surgery is complex, and doctors sometimes have to make repeated attempts when implanting the device in a patient. This increases the risk of complications and surgical failure. Prince of Wales Hospital performed 48 LAA occlusion operations on patients last year, but there were complications in about 5% of patients. Local researchers have found a way to improve the accuracy and safety of such procedures. The Division of Cardiology at CUHK collaborated with HKU's Mechanical Engineering Department to use 3D printing technology for pre-surgical planning. The team used 3D data from ultrasound images of the heart. Using special software, the experts printed 3D silicone models of heart structures. For LAA occlusion, doctors used the 3D models of a patient's heart to simulate the procedure and find the right size device to implant. The technique was used for a 78-year-old female patient, and doctors say she is now doing well. Dr. Gary Zhang, clinical assistant professor at CUHK, noted that 3D printing helps them with pre-surgical planning. This reduces operating time and improves accuracy. The researchers didn't rule out the possibility that their novel approach could be used for other complex cardiac surgeries, as well as to train future cardiologists. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
And sports time with Tony.
That's right. NBA to start off with. The playoffs, the Toronto Raptors have leveled things up with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The series is now best of 3, with the winner advancing to the NBA Finals. Jameson has more.
After looking like they would soon be extinct.